this is Miss Kim, and welcome to the Lazy Class episode 2. Okay, so the last time we talked about socialization, right? So that was where we learned toward the socialization, we learned individuals become aware of the positions they hold in society, which is what do you think this is? Is this status or is this roles? Correct. This is status. Okay, and we also learned roles by observing the people around them. Alright, so when we talked about socialization, it was more of an individualistic idea or lesson. Here, how society is organized. We all belong to a group. How many groups are you a member of? A lot, right? You could think a lot. Okay, so we always thought that we are alone. I'm just putting out my photo there. Okay, we always thought that we are alone. But would you believe that social relations is actually a basic part of human life? It is so as basic as food, clothing, and shelter. Name a person who does not have any social relations. There's none. Basically, there is none, right? We are all we all have social relations and we all belong to a group. Numerous at that. We have our family, we have our high school friends. Mind you, I'm not the one in pink, I'm the one in black. Feel it, I know. We also have our work group, the organizations where we belong, find your friends. And of course, we also have our colleagues. And of course, the most important, we have our church friends. Okay, so I hope you all believe in in the saying, tell me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are. Actually, us teachers, we have this tendency to group and stereotype students. So we would talk about experiences with students, especially during grade conferences, and we would also say, si Juan, absent na pud siya. So we would generally say, tungod mo na kay iyahang groupmates or iyahang barkada, absinot. Okay, so we often stereotype or group people and give definitions to their groups, or simply put, what you are now is a reflection of the kind of groups you belong. Gangster, gangster. Kita pa pwede out to ginani. Okay, so what we're talking about today now is about social group, or a number of people who interact on a regular basis, are bound together by roles and status, and a distinctive set of relationships, and who feel a sense of unity and common identity. Now, mind you, for it to be considered a social group, it has to have two requirements, and I highlighted it here in our video. We interact on a regular basis. It means that there is interaction on a regular basis. I'm just restating it. I'm so sorry. And of course, there should be a sense of unity and common identity, or simply put, belongingness. Now, we have here two types of groups. These are types of groups, but it's not considered to be a social group. Why? Again, there is no constant interaction, and there is no sense of belongingness. Okay, the first one is we have here the aggregate. People who are at the same place and time, and there is superficial interaction. What do you be? Well, give me an example of an aggregate. If you thought a concert, then that is wrong. But if you thought of Robinson's shoppers, then that is correct. Yes, they are considered to be an aggregate. They are just people who are at the same place and at the same time. Now, what if you put in the same purpose? Crowd. That is considered to be a crowd. Concert is now an example of a crowd. People are at the same place at the same time and they have the same purpose. Wala siya na-edit ang kaandere. Okay, but this type now, the primary group now is what we call part of the social group. Okay, primary groups are small, intimate individuals who engage face-to-face, long-term relationships made up of people with the most impact on socialization. Okay, I made this part the most important definition into red. The one who has the most impact on socialization. What do you think is an example of this one? Family is also an example of your primary group. But mind you, there are some people who do not consider their families as their primary group. Of course, there is something going on with their family dynamics. But how to know if that group is part of your primary group? If the opinion of those people matters to you. Yes, that is it. Okay, so there is expressive function. For me, there is only one primary group. I may have a lot of friends. I have my libak friends, my foodie friends, my work friends, my church friends. I have a lot, but I only consider my family as my primary group. Now, if my friends tell me that my outfit is ugly, I don't care. But if my family tells me that what I did was wrong, then definitely I would be thinking about it and considering their advices. Not necessarily follow it, but I would consider it, think about it. Who are yours? Okay. And we have the next, the secondary group, usually large, short-term, formal, and specialized, and are created to meet a specific need, fulfill a particular function, or achieve a goal. Now, for this group, can you cite an example? A classmate or your classmates is part of your secondary group. Your friends or group of friends is also part of your secondary group. But there are some groups, secondary groups, that can become your primary group. Okay? If pag abot og enrollment sa May, you guys would cry, oh, same section na gihapon, please, sige na, because we mean so much, we mean a lot to each other. Oh my god, please don't do that. Okay, so your secondary group, who comprises your secondary group aside from your classmates? Okay, let me bring your attention to the word formal and specialized and created to meet a specific need. Example, pedicab drivers to those who commute. And of course, the other people who are with you, your secondary, are part of your secondary group. I, your teacher, is part of your secondary group. Sa may lain. The church, the senior high office people is part of your secondary group. Okay, your relationship is specialized. Next group is your reference group. No, when you say reference group, it doesn't have to be someone whom you interact with on a daily basis, but physically. But definitely there is still an interaction, though um, superficial interaction or kind of virtual, I'm sorry for the superficial, virtual interaction. So these are groups to which we compare ourselves and serve as a personal standard for evaluation. I don't know, kinsa na uso sa inyo, some girls would look up this ladies here. They're the Kardashian Jenner sisters, siblings. I really don't know which is which. As far as I know, this one was the one who was a billionaire, the last one. And the one in the middle was, I think she's the one married to Kanye. Okay, I don't know. And we have our in group which is any group a person feels or identifies with, and you have your out group, which is the opposite of in group. Who are part of your in groups? Ha, kanang inyong mga friends, katapi. Especially if you don't feel awkward talking with them or interacting with them, then they're definitely part of your in group. But is there someone in your class whom you consider to be an out group? Kanang, if you stay, if you get grouped with them, it's awkward. There's a moment of silence. I'm sure there is, diba? But if there's none, wow, that's impressive. For us teachers, I had this experience before. I attended a I had attended a debut, my students' debut, and I was when she handed me the invitation, she asked me. I asked her, who are the other faculties going? So she rattled off some names, and when I heard a friend's name, I asked that friend, "Huy, muadto ka? Are you going?" Because she said, "Yeah, she's going," but she lied. She did not. So I went to the party alone, and I was alone on the table, and everybody on the other table were smiling and laughing, and I was the only solitary one. Okay, so because that group was my out group, and wrong spelling ako ang group, like grop, in grop. Okay, for society to survive, it needs it needs to meet three basic needs, and these are reproduction, knowledge transmission, and provisioning. Who do you think is the institution that is in charge with the reproduction? It's the family. The family is the only institution that is required, that is to perform the function of reproduction, nobody else. Okay, so we have social institutions. Now, what are social institutions? Now, society is now grouped into different groups, right? And for us to have a successful society or a working community, we had to establish social institutions. What are social institutions? These are complex, patterned, integrated, and relatively stable cluster of statuses, roles, groups, norms, values that work together to fulfill some specific needs a society must satisfy. They said that. Okay, social institutions, these are the different sectors in society that are given specialized tasks in order to meet the basic needs, about the three basic needs. Why do have why do we have these institutions? Now this is where your research skills will be tested. Research mechanical solidarity versus organic solidarity. Ta-da! Okay, that's your assignment. Ooh, what's this? Sorry. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Okay, so these are now the different institutions that we have in our society. Family, we have the politics or the government, education, the health, religion and health, and the economic institutions. Now, this different institutions now we're going to be tackling in the next series of my The Lazy Class by Miss Kim Francis Ramos. See you next meeting!